adventurers. It's Dozing Knight. Welcome back to another quiet evening of shared tales and wandering through worlds unknown. Tonight, find yourself nestled somewhere soft, tucked beneath the weight of a gentle dusk, as we cast our minds toward the timeless hills and forests of Middle-earth. Whether you are closing heavy eyelids or simply searching for a little peace before nightfall, you are most welcome here. Together, let us set gently aside our daily burdens and prepare for a journey along the quiet rivers of story and song. Tonight's collection of folklore glimmers with ancient enchantment, tales whispered just beyond the flickering campfires of elves and the smoke-curled windows of hobbit holes. Picture wandering through dew-speckled glades where the grassling fae braid strands of moonlight, or listening by the hearth as legends of lost kings and wandering wanderers are told among friends. Each story, nestled in the folds of Middle-earth's memory, promises comfort, curiosity, and the gentle tickle of wonder. You'll meet wise old trees whose roots recall the first dawn, starlit travelers who chase secrets along mountain ridges, and villages bustling with birdsong and laughter. Through these forests and fields, the ancient lore seeps like honey into the night, soothing and sweet. I'd love to hear from you, fellow dreamers. If a single place in Middle-earth could appear at your window tonight, which would you hope to see? Would it be the golden woods of Lothlorien, shimmering under the gaze of Galadriel? Or perhaps the rolling hills of the Shire, ripe with wildflowers and soft evening light? Share your heart's wish or your favorite character from these tales in the comments below. Your dreams and imaginings inspire our next adventures. If you're enjoying these night journeys, drifting through stories spun from folklore and starlight, consider subscribing or following along. It helps keep the lanterns burning here at Dozing Knight and lets you know each time our next episode quietly arrives, ready to guide you once more toward restful shores. Before our stories begin, let's arrive together in the gentle hush of this moment. Allow yourself a slow, deep breath in, filling your chest and belly with the calm night air. Pause for a heartbeat, then gently exhale, letting tension trickle away. Again, breathe in deeply, and as you inhale, imagine distant bells ringing through ancient woods. Breathe out, feeling the quiet warmth of a homey hobbit hole cocooning you in comfort. One more breath, soft and unrushed, grounds you in peace, inviting the stories to settle softly all around. Now, imagine the wind swirling through the far green fields, carrying the faint strains of a song half remembered, half dreamt. Let your mind's lantern burn low and journey with me to Middle-earth, where folklore and dreams entwine beneath the endless canopy of stars. Our adventure begins. Beneath the velvet plumage of dusk, when stars embroider the sky with gentle light, the Shire rests as if the world itself is exhaling. Each curl of mist that meanders over Bagshot Row moves with measured grace, as if respectful of the earth it crosses. The hobbit holes, with their round doors painted in a chorus of greens and yellows, nestle beneath grassy knolls like eggs in a mossy nest. There is a hush in the meadow air. The distant river Brandywine murmurs softly, its voice entwined with cricket chimes and the far-off hooting of a barn owl returning home. In this realm of fertile soil and tranquil hearts lives Belladonna Tunnelly, daughter of the Westfarthing, known for her gentle wit and honeycomb laugh. She lives in a burrow lined with woven tapestries. Ancient maps sing silent memories upon her walls, telling of distant lands, borrowed from cousins who once ventured as far as Buckland. Belladonna loves the fresh tang of evening air and the glint of golden light falling through round windows. Her evenings are for reading tales by the fireside and for walking under beech and chestnut canopies that shade her small, steady steps. This night, as the Shire fades to silver twilight, Belladonna cradles a lantern in one hand, and in the other, a basket lined with gingham cloth. She sets out into the whispering dusk, seeking wild strawberries by moonlight, peeking beneath dewdrop leaves, every footstep leaving a hush in the clover. Soft earth cradles her heels, the lane sings underfoot. Round a bend, fragrant with honeysuckle, she meets her friend, Baldo Proudfoot, who is bent low, whispering encouragement to a drowsy hedgehog. His spectacles glint with the reflection of fireflies. Their laughter melts softly into the tapestry of night. Above their heads, a gentle breeze stirs the delicate bells of blue periwinkle, sending ripples through the tall summer rye. Belladonna pauses to breathe in the scent of growing green, the earth's patient song humming in her skin. She touches a sprig of thyme, rubs the silvery leaves between her thumb and forefinger. Each blade remembers sunlight, the way shadows court the roots beneath. She and Baldo walk in companionable silence, the wordless song of old friends binding them to the land and each other. The heart of the Shire itself seems to pulse with quiet, ancestral magic, a deep, slow heartbeat that carries old stories forward. Lantern light catches the curve of a distant roof. A solitary frog croaks somewhere near the marsh beyond Hobbiton's edge. Belladonna feels the ancient peace of her home, as if the land itself rocks her gently, a child in wise arms. Tonight, as the night dew pearls on grass tips, there is promise in the air, some flicker of old tales waiting to be unfurled. The hush is full of invisible wings and ancient whispers, as if in the green veils of the Shire, the world prepares for a gentle unfolding, for a journey into stories as old as the hobbits themselves. Belladonna glances toward the path leading to the old Took's Hill, where mist gathers in patient pools, and the first true tale of the evening waits, quiet as a held breath, for the gentle courage of one willing to listen. Dawn teases the horizon with faint apricot and the hush of hope. Belladonna's footsteps, so soft upon the dewy grass, seem almost part of the dawn's own song. The lantern she carries bathes her in a sphere of warmth, each flicker catching on wild fennel and nodding foxgloves, illuminating the secret world that breathes beneath the world's daytime face. Overhead, a flight of swallows cuts the sky in swift, joyful strokes. Baldo Proudfoot walks by Belladonna's side, his stride careful and measured as he guards a half-finished tale in his mind. His heart holds a love for story, not the loud sort that jostles for space, but the gentle stories passed from elder lips by the crackling fires of long memory. As they venture toward Old Took's Hill, he tells of a time when hobbits believed the foxes could sing, and the hills themselves mused on the dreams of those who walked their slopes. On the shoulder of the hill, shaded by a venerable oak whose gnarled boughs bear the marks of 3 centuries, the two friends pause. While Belladonna arranges her basket and lantern, Baldo finds a patch of soft moss to settle upon. He begins to unspool a tale, his voice slow and rounded at the edges. like a pebble worn smooth by years of river song. There was a time, Belladonna, when the lanterns of the Shire flickered for more than Hobbit feet. Before the roads stitched our villages, the wild ones lingered, foxes wise in riddle tongue, owls who bartered with stars, and the green folk who wove robes of willow leaves. His words catch on the hem of memory, threading Belladonna deeper into the cradle of the past. She listens, eyes wide with wonder, as if seeing anew the long curves of earth and the soft hush of silvered fields. The lantern's glow feels steady in her hand, linking her to the stories that shimmer on the cusp of night and dawn. Even the wind curls close to their circle, eager for the oldest tales, folklore in the blood of the grass itself. To commemorate their storytelling, Belladonna brings forth a skein of pale wool, a promise to begin weaving her own tapestry, patterned with the wild fibers of legend. As she fingers the wool, she dreams aloud of silken rivers and the hush of moonlit barrows, the lost paths that shimmer beyond the bounds of waking. Baldo smiles, his eyes deep with remembered stories. In the Shire, such moments pass gently, like the secrets water carries on beneath the reeds. Birdsong joins their circle as the first full gold of morning crowns the hill. This is how tales are born, and how they endure. In quiet companionship, nested richly in the pause between two heartbeats and the slow unfolding of the sun. The lantern, steadfast companion of dawn and dusk, drinks in the last shadows of night and promises more magic to come. The day tumbles gently awake. Down in the valley, every burrow and garden stirs to life, as if summoned by the gentle breath of these first storied hours. For Belladonna, with palms warmed by lantern light and dreams laced with elder tales, the world grows wider still, their journey through the folklore of Middle-earth barely begun, with every step into the green a promise of new wonder. By high morning, mist climbs from the fields, like memory rising from half-forgotten dreams. In the green bosom of Tookland, Belladonna and Baldo wander, pausing often to listen, not to words, but to the breathy undertones of growing things and the world's slow music. Overhead, the leaves of silver birch quiver in light that filters down, liquid and golden, 1,000 tiny dance steps forwards and back. Belladonna's basket now swings lightly, holding both wild berries and slender willow branches, each gathered with reverence for the tales they might hold. The path ahead forks into the Brandywine woods, their boles draped in veils of moss, and their roots braiding slow secrets into the soil. Here, every tree leans in with a gravity of its own, inviting, patient. With every footfall, Belladonna senses the old warmth of sun baked into bark, the memory of spring rains breathing from fern and ivy. Alongside her, Baldo picks his way over tangled root and through clusters of toadstools, ever alert for the first blink of something wondrous. He recalls how his great-uncle once claimed to have seen a fairy lantern hovering just above these same stones, bobbing with nervous excitement on Midsummer Eve. A quietness falls, deeper than before, as if the wood itself is drawing a cloak around its visitors. Belladonna stops by a ring of mushrooms, delicate as spun sugar. Her voice is but a hush, yet it carries in the still air. "Do you think the old tales are true?" she muses, fingertips brushing a velvet cap. Baldo answers with a thoughtful sigh, his eyes tracing the dapples of light that stumble in patterns upon the ground. Perhaps, he says, these woods remember everything. Every song, every hope. Each small sorrow is stitched to the leaves. To wander here is to borrow from their memory, just enough to spin another thread for our own. Above them, a blackbird begins to sing, fluting notes that drop one by one onto the tapestry of moss. The rhythm of bird and breeze wraps Belladonna in a gentle spell, carrying away worry and gathering her in the embrace of deep time. She and Baldo sit, backs against neighboring tree trunks, sun on cheek, the hush of the forest entering their very breath. Belladonna pulls a length of willow, beginning to weave it with the wool she gathered at dawn. Each slender movement is unrushed, thoughtful, her fingers coaxing ancient pattern from the present moment. The green wood holds her safe in its patient shadow. Time ebbs, measured in heartbeats and shifting chorus of insects. In these old woods, history and legend interlace so seamlessly that even the wind seems to murmur old names, gentle reminders that what came before is never truly parted from yet to be. Belladonna's thoughts slip softly between waking and dreaming, held within the sheltering arms of root and branch. This morning, in the green and dappled world, it seems some stories are spun not in words, but in the gentle rhythm of breath and the quiet, continuous making of beauty. Late noon drifts down like spun gold as Belladonna and Baldo reach the edge of a gossamer stream, a thread of clear water that winds through the heart of the woods. The banks are woven with drifting forget-me-nots and watercress, the air cool and brimming with the fleeting scent of mint brushed by bumblebee wings. Across the stillness, dappled shadows dance as sunlight filters through willows, dipping their fingers into the current. Here, Belladonna kneels on a mossy stone, cupping her hands to draw up water clear and sweet. The stream's music is a melody older than Hobbit tales, a secret kept in the hush of earth and the silver laughter of water tumbling over pebbles. Baldo, ever watchful, seats himself beneath the arching bough of a white alder, listening to whispers, a gentle story, coaxed not from books, but from the way water laps at stone and the song of finches trading stories in the reeds. He clears his throat gently, speaking in a tone low enough to please the listening stream. "Have you heard the legend of the Fisher King?" Baldo asks, eyes alight with the mischief of one who weaves tales well. Belladonna shakes her head, hair catching slants of golden light. "Tell me," she whispers, voice a ripple upon the water. Baldo's tale drifts like a feather, soft and slow. Long ago, before the Shire wore its name, it is said a Fisher King guarded a bridge of living over the swiftest part of the Brandywine. He possessed a rod crafted of willow wood spun by river fae, a line woven from the dreams of 10,000 sleeping trout. With each daybreak, he would cast the line across shimmering water, not to harvest, but to listen for the stories the river carried from one end of the world to the other. On chill mornings, the king whispered his own heart's longing into the water, hoping another story would answer. And sometimes, the king would pull forth a silver-scaled wisdom, or a memory gone astray from another age. Belladonna drinks in the fable, her thoughts caught in the blue of the stream. The river's surface reflects the sky, a ceiling and a floor for dreams. Peering into the ripples, she wonders if old tales ride quietly, brushing past ankles in the current, waiting to be caught by hearts attuned to the world's deepest hush. The clouds above shift in slow migration, mirrored in the water's skin. In their silent company, Belladonna and Baldo sit, the quiet of their companionship filling the air with gentle possibility. Each is free to ponder the tale in silence, eyes watching the silver flicker of minnows and the swaying reflection of overhanging branches. After a time, Belladonna threads a daisy into Baldo's buttonhole, her act a silent thank you for another story slipped quietly into the river of memory. She knows as the willow bends above them, some tales never truly end. They simply become part of the stream, circling back to those who sit in patient, listening peace. The hush grows deeper, curling inward as the stream rounds the bend out of sight, drawing the edges of the forest close. Within the quiet lapping of water and the gentle weaving of words, a new kind of magic stirs, a fragile hope that every small thing seen and loved endures, woven forever into the ever-gentle pattern of Middle-earth's green and golden heart. Morning blushes upon Bywater as its marketplace stirs awake, fragrant with new-made loaves and baskets of green apples. The air vibrates gently with the rustle of cloth and meadow grass, while chattering hobbits move in slow, cheerful waves between stalls. Their laughter wanders like pollen on the wind, gathering beneath the thatched eaves of the Green Dragon before swirling out and away over meadows fresh with June dew. Belladonna and Baldo walk together through the shifting maze of market-goers. Their steps are unhurried, time measured in the folding and unfolding of smiles and the friendly nods exchanged at every corner. Belladonna eyes the knotted skeins of wool dyed with nettle and heather, fingers trailing their twisted beauty. Baldo, ever curious, inspects the stacks of honeycombs that glow like amber in the early sun, their scent fattened with sunlight and wild thyme. Beside a stall crowned with yellow marigolds sits an elder hobbit, Mistress Tansy Hayfoot, a master of gossip and gentle riddles. Her broad-brimmed hat is bedecked with elderflower sprigs, her basket brimming with moon-shaped seed cakes. Eyes twinkling, Mistress Tansy beckons the two friends closer, as one might invite birds to perch upon an outstretched hand. She shares the story of Tomnoddy, a sprite bound to the root of the great beech tree at the north edge of the Shire. With her gloved hands sketching wonder in the air, Tansy describes how Tomnoddy was known to tie dew-fine knots in the hair of children misbehaving in blueberry thickets, and would sometimes leave a gift, a feather, a polished pebble, if the child listened quietly to the tree's own humming secrets. Belladonna finds herself enchanted. She pockets a tiny jasper stone Tansy presses into her palm as a charm. "For clear dreams," whispers Tansy, with the certainty of one who knows the slipstream between reality and myth. Baldo bows in gratitude, tucking a folded riddle from Tansy into the book he carries, a kernel of mystery to be pondered in stiller hours. Market day wanes as the sun wheels higher, dust motes rising in the gold light like dancers summoned from the soil. The Green Dragon beckons for tea, its flagstones warm and drowsy beneath sun-touched feet. Belladonna and Baldo rest beneath a lattice of late-blooming roses, sharing bread thick with elderberry jam and tales traded in whispers. The talk curls like smoke beneath the eaves, trailing out with the robins to the waiting hush of fields. In such moments, the Shire unfolds itself, a living story told through the barter of strawberries and the poetry nested within the core of crows. The distant hills glow with their own soft legends, drawing a filigree of promise around each gentle heart that wanders market day, not for coin, but for memory and marvel. The world, it seems, is composed of these gifts: the fragrance of rosemary, the humming of bees, the lingering sweetness of tales traded between stalls. Bywater, like all of the Shire, is a patchwork quilt of laughter and legend, where even the most ordinary day drapes its shoulders with the threads of the extraordinary. Twilight arrives on swift, soft feet. The drowsy call of blackbirds drifts over Bucklebury as the last gold of sunlight settles in puddles atop the river's serene face. Above the ancient ferry, steered by river-wise hands for centuries untold, the moon rises, pearly and august, casting a gentle hush across the world and setting silver fire to the water's dreaming skin. Belladonna and Baldo, having wandered from Bywater along winding hedgerows, come at last to the riverbank. Their approach is quiet, in awe of the moon's gentle dominion. A night breeze shivers through blackberry bramble, sending a handful of stars tumbling between leaves. The Brandywine, purposeful as an old story, carries its own chorus of crickets, frogs, and the low, murmurous voices of invisible things. As the ferry bobs in its moorings, the ferryman, a spare, dignified hobbit named Otterby Finch, greets them with a nod, his hat tipped at a respectful angle to the moon. Finches dart overhead, their last song fluttering, a benediction for Twilight's softening purpose. Otterby, a keeper of river folklore, begins a tale as soon as the ferry noses out onto the current. He speaks of a willow spirit named Mirieth, who tended the stones of the Brandywine and hummed a song that coaxed the shy moon to rise each night. Mirieth's song, Otterby claims, can sometimes weave a bridge of moonbeams over the water, the kind that draws dreams safely from one shore to the other. Belladonna and Baldo stand quietly at the rail, feeling the river's hush melt into their bones. The ferry glides as if riding upon a silver thread, every ripple and eddy a phrase of the old, unbroken language between river and moon. Otterby steers with practiced patience, his oar dipping in and out of water, journeying toward tomorrow. For a time, conversation ceases. The vast hush beneath the moon grows, brimming with the poetry of movement and the lull of deep time. Baldo's fingers trail the water. Belladonna hums a phrase half remembered from her childhood, a lullaby about silver apples and the wandering, patient tides. As the far shore draws near, the ferry settles softly in the hush of reeds. Otterby tips his hat again, offering a smile as gentle as moonlight. "All safe across then," he says, as if each traveller's crossing is its own small blessing. Disembarking, Belladonna lingers on the bank, gathering moonbeams as if they were wildflower petals to weave into her dreams. The sound of ferry oars slipping into water grows faint, leaving only the lonely song of the river and the promise of safe passage stitched into the memory of every gentle heart. On nights such as this, when the moon blesses both water and road, every tale finds its way home, wearing the hush of Bucklebury Ferry. For Belladonna and Baldo, the journey riverward leaves their spirits softened, like bread soaked in honey and twilight, a blessing to be savoured as the world drifts softly toward the deeper quiet yet to come. Night deepens, velvet and whole. The stars gather above the enchanted meadow, brushing the grass with frost-tipped light. Belladonna and Baldo, seduced onward by curiosity and the gentle invitations of the world, step softly onto the meadow's cool, dewing floor. Each blade is heavy with moonshine, Every wildflower drinks in the sweep of starlight, as if savoring a long dream. Here, silence is a living thing, thick as wool, and scented with the churned sweetness of larkspur and clover. The meadow is wide and undisturbed, a cradle for gentle fears and braver wishes alike. The gentlefolk of the Shire rarely come here after nightfall, for the land itself is rumoured to listen, so well, in fact, that it may borrow a visitor's voice and fold it away among the roots as memory. With each step, Belladonna feels the hush ripple through the marrow of her bones, the calm and unhurried breathing of the earth beneath her soft feet. The world here grows broader, softer. Time folds itself into a many-layered cloak. Even Baldo, so ready with story, is silenced by a reverence so old it feels like the air itself was formed from it. They find a place to sit beneath a low, arching hawthorn, blown into shape by centuries of patient winds. The meadow, undulating with the sweet rhythm of evening, hums with voices too delicate for mortal ears. To Belladonna, these are the almost music, half-sensed, the pulsing of sap, the twilight drumming of moth wings, the gentle gossip of flowers opening in their sleep. Baldo closes his eyes, allowing the silence to fill him like clear water. He remembers an elder's warning. In the deep hush, sometimes you'll hear the earth thinking its oldest dreams. Here, still and small as roots in winter, he hopes to catch one such dream, wordless and whole. Belladonna's mind drifts lazily through memory, aided by the meadow's patient calm. She remembers a time in her youth when her mother, twining her hair after bath, spoke softly of the ancient meadow, of sprites who hid in dandelion clocks, of wandering shadows fading into kind-hearted mist. Each memory settles in Belladonna gently, like down on a sleeping child. A meteor's tail stitches the sky above, fleeting and bright. In that moment, it feels as if every dream ever whispered in Middle-earth rises up in a shining flock, then settles again, unnoticed by all but the watchful meadow. Slowly, the hush becomes a balm, smoothing away care and hurry. Belladonna leans her head to Baldo's shoulder, and between them, peace weaves a tapestry, thread by patient thread. The only sound is the quiet pulse of night, a tiny symphony for those who listen with hearts as open as meadows to the song of the infinite sky. Eastward, where the meadow slows into wood, Belladonna and Baldo wander into dew-jewel woods, a place named for how sunrise glistens on each leaf, as though thousands of tiny artisans have affixed diamonds, leaf to trembling leaf. Here, not even the footsteps of foxes are heard. So plush is the moss, and so dense the quilt of shadow and leaf. Dawn is but a whisper away, yet the woods remain wrapped in velvet twilight. The slow light drifts in, uncertain, lingering, stroking the arching branches with faint, honeyed fingers. Ancient beeches rise like pillars of the world, bark gleaming with old secrets, their roots adorned with pearls of dew, waiting for the first breath of day. Belladonna's steps falter, overcome by the beauty. She touches each trunk with the back of her fingertips, as though greeting old friends. Baldo's eyes drift upward, following the tracery of moonbeams that pierce the leafy ceiling, tracing lace against the indigo sky. In these woods, time feels thick and unmoving, like sap sleeping in the heart of a tree. The pair slow their pace, listening to the pearls and sibilance of leaves in private conversation. Under a low-hanging branch, they find a ring of toadstools, the smallest holding glimmers of dew, almost as if tiny goblets had been set for an unseen feast. Wordless, Belladonna sits in the heart of the ring, closing her eyes to better hear the sighing peace that reigns here. The world's edges blur, the air hums, full of the stories trees do not tell, but weave instead into the marrow of those who listen. For a heartbeat, she senses the passage of spirits, not to be feared, but revered, as gentle and fleeting as the aftertaste of honey on the tongue. Baldo reads the shapes of the branches, hunting for runes, old letters whispered in growth and bend, the language of leaves and the slow turning of seasons. He traces patterns in the air, wishing, perhaps, he could learn that silent tongue, an alphabet built from patience and the faithful passage of years. Light trickles down as morning teases apart the old blue of night. The woods welcome it, leaves trembling with anticipation. Belladonna and Baldo, cradled in the green hush, drift into quiet rest, feeling themselves not visitors but kin. Each dew-jeweled frond, each careful footstep, sings the old chorus, that every story is a prayer of belonging, and every dawn the world's gentlest answer. Soft grey light smudges the horizon, and an ancient barrow reveals itself, half swallowed by time and the slow, cradling arms of moss. Belladonna and Baldo stand before the gently curving mound, hearts stilled, both awed by the secretive dignity with which the hill wears its age. Ivy caresses the earthwork like a shawl, and harebells nod along the barrow's brow in the windless morning. Bells unopened, but heavy with the promise of song. The silence here is rich, a silence grown thick as honey over centuries. Stories are buried here, spun out in silent scrolls beneath each stone and clod. Belladonna wonders of those who dreamed the barrow into being. What hands piled these stones? What hearts wished their rest to be guarded by wildflower and woodpecker, rain and quiet dawn? She presses her palm against the cooled earth, feeling the slow heartbeat of those who have come before, generations folded into dream and memory. The moss trembles at her touch, a living veil that stitches the world together, life and death, sunlight and shadow, wound in eternal gentle embrace. Baldo circles the base of the barrow, brushing tenderly against the listening hush. He finds a stone, smoothed by centuries, held upright as if to mark a direction no compass dares trust. He sits, back to stone, and opens his notebook, sketching the grassy humps and the pattern of petals scattered by unseen wind. Here, he thinks, the world's oldest stories sleep, a peace too deep for words alone. A hush of wind, soft as a sigh, stirs the harebells above. For a moment, it seems the ground itself might speak, whispering not of fear, but of kinship, of the imperishable link between now and the layered past. The barrow's shade folds Belladonna and Baldo in gentle welcome, and the air is sweet with the promise that all who walk the green bluffs plant wishes in wild time, and remember old names are never truly gone. Then comes a chorus of wrens, their song hallowed and bright, a blessing for the living, and a benediction for the dreams that sleep just beneath the surface of moss. Belladonna and Baldo sit, shoulder to shoulder, letting the mossy stillness ripple through the chambers of their hearts. In their calm, deep rest, they find not the grief of endings, but the quiet resurrection of every tender hope ever whispered beneath the vault of the sky. The barrow keeps her secrets, and in her keeping all sorrow is gentled, all stories warmed to gold beneath the kind patience of the sun. For those who listen and rest, the greatest tales are the ones not spoken, but lived in the hush between dawn and full day. Sunrise gilds the rolling fields. The wheat shivers, each stalk gilded in pale fire as dawn ascends the slow spine of the land. Belladonna and Baldo emerge from the woodland gloom into a world suddenly unfurled and bright. The wind, soft as down and cool as river stones, picks up the golden song of the barley and carries it outward. The slow dancing lullaby of summer, rooted in earth, soaring in sky. Here, the land is open and generous. The world feels limitless, every horizon a gentle beckoning, every breath a lesson in wonder. The fields ripple under the caress of morning, declaring the old covenant. Sun feeds earth, earth feeds life, and the wind carries their stories outward, to hill and hollow, to every listening thing. Belladonna pauses, savoring the vast generosity of green and gold as far as her eyes can see. With every inhale, she takes in wild chamomile, the sharpness of rye, the sweet fugue of poppies shyly blooming at the field's edge. Baldo spreads his palms wide to the rising sun, as though eager to collect all the warmth he can hold. This, he muses, is the heart of Middle-earth. No palace or hoarded jewel, but the simple resonance of sky, wind, and waving grain. They walk along the furrow, shoes damp from dew, their passing marked only by the gentle parting of wheat singing in the language of the living world. The hush here is not empty, it is full, swollen with the labor of seed and root, the conversations of bees and the lowing of cattle beyond the distant hummocks. All at once, Belladonna begins to hum, shy at first, letting the tune spiral on the back of the breeze. Baldo joins in, not with words, but with the rhythmic tapping of his knuckles upon his walking stick. The field becomes their audience, the sun their spotlight, and the world itself turns to listen. In such a moment, the whole land feels charged with old magic, the kind that lingers in the pause before harvest, in the hush before summer storms, in the slow falling toward nap and repose. The song, such as it is, pleases the wheat, which leans in just a touch more, eager in its quiet way to become a part of the story. For in Middle-earth, every song, no matter how small, finds a place and purpose. As the chorus of wind and wheat fields serenades the morning, Belladonna and Baldo feel laughter rise within them, sweet as orchard fruit. They rest in the high grass and watch clouds drift, let their tails run quiet, and allow themselves to be carried, effortlessly, into rest by the slow, unending lullaby of sun and harvest and summer's patient song. Afternoon evaporates into the haze of summer, leaving the air lush with the scent of ripening grass and honeysuckle. A change whispers on the wind, a hush that soothes the fields, quiets the bird's song, leaves the world listening for the gentle insistence of rain. In the distance, storms gather with the patience of old friends expected at twilight. A promise, not a threat. Belladonna and Baldo, spread beneath a sycamore at the field's edge, blink sleepily at the transformation. First, just a scattering of drops, each falling with liquid clarity, soft as a whisper. The earth sighs, opening itself to the benediction. The patter on leaf and stone becomes a quiet chorus. The rain, when it comes in earnest, veils the land in silver translucence, blurring every sharp edge into soft embrace. Fields of wheat bow deeply, shimmering beneath nature's touch. The two friends seek shelter beneath the thick leafy canopy. Here, the rain's music grows, a gentle tattoo on the green ceiling, a murmured story in a tongue deeper than Hobbit song. Belladonna listens, hearing within the rain the echoes of every tale she has gathered, the fox sprite's mischief, the willow's lullaby, even the silent poetry of the barrow. Baldo, notebook safe from damp, closes his eyes and surrenders to the sounds, the soft percussion, the distant rumble of thunder, the exhale of field and sky. There is no hurry, no fear. The world explains itself in sighs and runs. Gentle rivers are born anew along every furrow. In the shelter's hush, every moment drips with meaning. Each passing second a small and private ceremony of renewal. Time slows further, thickening in the cool, moist air. Between heavy drops, a blackbird returns to its song, the melody half mingled with the tapping rain. Belladonna pulls her woven willow and wool from her basket, letting the rain soft wash the bright threads. Color deepens, pattern blurs, a mosaic made gentler by water's blessing. Gradually, the storm passes, shifting southward into the distance, trailed by a chorus of robins. The grass and leaves glisten as if the world has donned a new cloak. The hearts of Belladonna and Baldo echo that freshness, their stories calmed and gently reawakened by the timeless anointing of afternoon rain. At the edge of twilight, as the world catches its breath, the land is all velvet and hush. The two friends nestle deeper into their leafy cathedral, a lull falling over them as softly as the veil of recent rain. Their journey, almost dreamlike now, threads ever slower, each heartbeat and murmur a promise kept between earth and sky. The glow of twilight lingers above Hobbiton, sliding down onto the round, gentle roofs like honey on warm bread. Belladonna and Baldo follow the old, well-trodden lane home, their bellies full of story and solace. The lantern swings in Belladonna's hand, pouring a circle of gold over wandering feet and pebble-strewn path. The familiar shape of Belladonna's burrow appears over the rise. Its round door, blushing green, offers welcome, holding back the deep blue hush that folds over the Shire in these closing hours. They enter, greeted by the comforting hush of stone and timber, the quiet shuffle of slippers on woven rush. The fire on the hearth is a patient friend, waiting in a cradle of brick, its embers sighing with steady warmth. Baldo sets the basket on the table, fingers lingering over berries, leaves, the small talismans and treasures gathered from field and barrow and wood. The walls are a gallery for all these gentle collectings. Wildflowers pressed behind glass, river stones wearing memories of moonlight, feathers once dropped in emerald fields. Belladonna lights a pair of beeswax candles, their light winding through the chamber like golden thread. They settle together before the fire, Belladonna's weaving resting on her knee, Baldo's notebook open, his pen tracing idle loops and gentle beginnings. The room fills with the low, steady crackle of flame. The scent of honey and rosemary sighs upward, lulling the room with drowsy peace. Belladonna speaks quietly, her voice a lull, more dream than speech now. Every place we touch today, every hush, every whisper, it feels as if Middle-earth braided it all into us, didn't it? Her words are not questions, but gentle certainties. Baldo nods, smiling, eyes half-lidded in the lazy comfort only home can offer. The world outside is wrapped in blue shadow and cricket song, safe behind the strong embrace of root and hill. In the afterglow of their journey, their stories knit together, nothing urgent, nothing insistent, just the kind weaving of hours spent wandering in a world that loves each quiet heart as fiercely as morning loves the newborn dew. As fire dwindles to ember, sleep drapes itself across shoulders worn soft by the journey. Belladonna's head bows over her unfinished weaving. Baldo's pen slips from dream-loosened fingers. The candles flicker low, painting slow-moving shadows over the gentle faces returned home. Outside, a fox drifts across the lane, pausing to listen to the last flutter of tails. The Shire, wrapped in its starlit coverlet, breathes easy in the hush. Within, the hearts of Belladonna and Baldo drift towards sleep, cradled by old stories, carried by river and wind, each breath a lullaby that echoes all of Middle-earth's ancient, dreaming hearths. And so, with a final gentle sigh, the tale circles inward, a soft embrace, a return. The world's stories keep watch at the door, and in the Shire's deep hush, every listener finds welcome, rest, and the promise of peace that settles gently as sleep upon small, contented hands.